We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Friday, March 7th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and thank you for joining us on News Generation. Joining us today is Lee Won-bin.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Brooke Prince.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. As many of our viewers will know, every Friday we wrap up the week with conversations that matter to young people around the world. And today we're tackling a growing concern that many countries are facing, which is a rapidly aging population. Now, this demographic shift has already started to become a major challenge, bringing with it concerns like declining economic productivity and increasing pressure on young generations to support and care for seniors. But rather than just focusing on the challenges, today here on NewsGen, we're going to explore how society are adapting and finding new solutions. So to start us off, Won-bin, can you give us kind of like an overview of Korea's current demographic situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So as of December of 2024, Korea has entered the super aged society, where more than 20% of the population is over the age of 65. And on top of that, Korea is the fastest aging country due to its lowest birth rate in the world. Now, if we convert this into numbers, in 20 years, Korea is projected to become the oldest country in the world, with over 37% of the population being seniors who are over 65. And this is definitely one of the biggest concerns that a lot of Koreans have nowadays.
Right, so far we kind of have a grim outlook when it comes to the demographic landscape here in Korea. And Brooke, I want to ask you, are you actually noticing more and more senior citizens making up Korea's population?
Well, I have been here for almost a decade now, so I will say, at least anecdotally, I've definitely experienced an increase in this population. But coming from the perspective of a foreigner, I learned very early on when I came to Korea just how important it is here to respect the elderly. It's even embedded in the Korean language itself. You learn that there are different words and word endings, they're called honorifics, that you use when you're speaking to someone that is older than you. So this deference for older individuals is very vital to the Korean culture and society. And you see this everywhere you go. When you take public transportation, for example, there are designated seats and areas for these vulnerable groups. And if there aren't enough seats, then I myself have offered my seat to an older individual, and I see young people do that all the time. It's more than just an expectation, it's almost a reflex. They get up automatically. And so this is a very heartwarming thing to see, but the problem is with us entering a super age society now, there are more and more elderly individuals that don't have enough seat space. And if you've ever taken public transportation in Korea, you know it's a bit of a bumpy ride. It's a pretty hilly area, and so it can be dangerous, and it's a lot more dangerous for an older person to fall in those situations. So it always kind of worries me to see how many people are just standing without those accommodations. So I think these are some of the factors that we're going to have to start thinking about now that we have a larger segment of this population.
So the fact that we are seeing not enough designated seats for the senior population really provides a snapshot that our society is aging at a rapid pace. Right, so as our population once again ages at a very fast pace, we're also seeing a rise in seniors living alone, which in some cases leads to poverty and even what's known in Korea as kodoksa, or lonely death. And there have been increasing reports of elderly individuals being found days, weeks, or even months after passing away, having had no one to check in on them. So in response, governments are stepping in to address this issue, rolling out initiatives to keep seniors connected and cared for. So Won-bin, what are some of these efforts? We're first going to start with Korea and then expand to other countries.
Yeah, so Korea is trying to implement a program called 동거동락, which means to live and enjoy and thrive together. This comes from the old Korean idiom 동고동락, which is an expression for people who has a very close relationship, meaning to go through pain and joy together. And this program allows senior and a young adult to live together by renovating the senior's house into a space where two people can live together comfortably. And unlike the younger individuals who need to constantly pay rent in order to have a living space, most seniors fortunately do own a house. And this policy utilizes the excessive housing space that seniors have. Young adults will move into the senior's house, and this will allow the young adults to have a much more affordable housing option than the traditional rents, usually them being about half the price. And for seniors, it will allow them to have a partner to watch over them.
Right, so these type of programs are currently being offered by the Seoul City government and Busan City government, which are the two biggest cities here in the country. Now we're now going to expand our discussion and take a look at cases overseas.
Yeah, Wonbin really explained that program very well, and similar initiatives are being implemented in other places too, including France. So in France, they are also offering this kind of intergenerational cohabitation program, and they've been established in order to address both student housing shortages and elderly isolation, because it's not just an issue in Korea.
Right.
And so what these initiatives do is they pair young individuals that are in need of a place to rent with elderly individuals that are in need of a companion. And so it's kind of this mutually beneficial relationship where they can build a bond together. The student can get, wisdom from being with someone older, and the older person can have the reassurance of knowing that someone is in their home in case of emergency, and also just to build a friendship together. So this is just another example of a really, heartwarming way to address the issue of a super aged society.
And we're going to talk about the pros and the potential cons of these programs later in our show. Now, meanwhile, Japan is another country that is facing a similar demographic challenge, and they've implemented similar programs to address it. So when we come back after the break, we'll be joined by a journalist based in Japan to take a closer look at how those programs work. Stay tuned.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Welcome back. Today we're delighted to have Koichi Yonemura, Deputy Foreign News Editor at Mainichi Newspaper, on our show today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Mr. Yonemura, Japan, we heard, has launched a program similar to what our panelists mentioned earlier, the so-called Motomate service. So, could you please explain how this works?
Motomate is a project run by a company called Age Well Japan, founded in January 2020 by a young entrepreneur, Miss Akagi. She's definitely part of a new generation. And she started the company after being shocked when her grandmother in her 80s said, "I've lived too long," and wanting to create a society where seniors feel that life is enjoyable and worth living longer. And this company has two main projects. First is, as you said, Motomate project, where university students and young adults work with seniors to explore ways for them to stay active. These young staff members receive at least 15 hours of training and are called age-well designers, meaning they help to find better ways to age. And the second project is Motoba. Motoba is a shared community space currently available only in Yokohama city, and it brings together seniors and younger generations in a natural setting, located in a convenient building near the station, and it operates as a membership-based co-working space where people can work or socialize. And about 40 to 50% of the members are seniors, and about half are younger generations. And actually, what makes AgeWell very unique is that these services not only support seniors, but also serve as a research platform, gathering valuable insights on how to foster a more senior-friendly society and improve communication between generations. And that the insights gained are also shared with major companies like telecom providers, banks, and travel agencies, helping their younger employees better serve senior customers.
I see. Well, thank you for giving us the outline of the Motomate service, sir. Now, what's the general public's perception of this service? Are people optimistic about it, or are there more concerns about this service?
Oh, well, it is. rather optimistic, but you may have noticed that seniors using Motomate service and Motoba service are, in a way, a part of an experiment to develop better senior-focused services. However, what I heard from members of Age Well Japan is that there have been no complaints from them. In fact, many seniors are eager to share their opinions and even make suggestions to Age Well company. The reason why I think that they are so cooperative is that they agree with the project's goal to create a society where intergenerational communication thrives and seniors can enjoy a more comfortable and engaging life. So they are customers and also a part of the team. And that said, the company is actually still small and not very widely known in Japan, I should say. However, it has raised 250 million yen, 1.8 million US dollars in funding over 5 years and hosts annual events with around 10,000 participants every year. So I think it shows that it is gaining recognition.
Wow, well, that sounds amazing. Thank you for your insights today. I have one more question for you. Like Korea, Japan is also a super aged society. So could you share some other policies or initiatives that Japan has put in place in order to manage its aging population?
Honestly speaking, I'm not an expert on aging issue, but as far as I know, there are more projects emerging with similar goals, encouraging seniors to stay active and engage with society. For example, in the southern part of Japan, Kyushu Island, a company called Uki Hano Takara, they create job opportunities for women over 75, and now their project is gaining a lot of attention now. And as Japan's aging population, as you know, continues to grow, it's becoming more crucial to build a system where seniors can contribute their skills, knowledge, and experience while also ensuring that younger generations develop the ability to engage with seniors more effectively.
I see. All right. That was Koichi Yonemura, Deputy Foreign News Editor at Mainichi Newspaper. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Right, so our panelists and our guests just explained various intergenerational house-sharing initiatives around the world where young people live with seniors as housemates. But at the moment, this is quite an unconventional concept because it's living with someone from a completely different generation. So I want to ask our panelists, are you willing to try this program out? And what do you think could be the pros and cons?
Obviously, excuse me, there will definitely be some hiccups, even if we don't consider the generational difference. It's just living with another person.
Right.
However, the merit is very clear and strong. Both individuals have something that each other does not have. One has a living space, and the other has the physical capability to maintain a household. And in this case, for explaining the cons, I think showing an example will be a good explanation. Did you guys watch the movie Untouchable by any chance?
I
haven't seen it.
Yes, well, to give a brief explanation, it's a movie from 2012. It's a French movie, and it's a movie about friendship between two people who lived completely different lives. One had a very wealthy lifestyle, but has a severe medical condition that needs constant supervision and assistance, and the other financially struggled his whole life. And it's a story of them living together. At the beginning, there was a lot of conflict and friction between the two. It just seemed impossible for them to get along. However, as time passed by, they begin to understand the differences between each other and form a relationship where they can fulfill something that each other does not have. Now, obviously, this is a very optimistic example, but I think it is still achievable in real life. Like up up to a realistic level where senior and the young tenant builds intimacy beyond the objective benefits of having a partner and saving rent from this co-living agreement. So I think there are a lot of pros beyond of just the surface benefit that both parties get.
Right, they can really get a great sense of companionship, and for the young people, they can also face reduced living costs, which is definitely a very, very big advantage for them. But on the other hand, Brooke, there will be some risks and potential downsides, right?
Right, of course. It does kind of sound like that oddball couple in a comedy, right? It can work. I think it can be a wonderful option.
But not always.
Yeah, it can be win-win, but also like Wonbin mentioned, it's a stranger that you're going to live with. So regardless of the generation, there are always risks when you're moving in with a new person. But particularly in this case, because there is that intergenerational gap, you have to think about, do you have different belief systems, routines, lifestyles, things like that? And there are challenges and risks that you're going to have to overcome. And you're going to have to define and really lay out your boundaries and expectations. Students, as the younger one in the relationship, they might feel like they're gaining another parent in a way. They might feel like they have a lack of privacy. For the elderly one in the equation, they might need more emotional and physical support than a young person can really handle or provide. These people are not, mental health professionals, they're not medical professionals, so it could be overwhelming to take on that caretaker role. But at the same time, they both have things that they can gain from each other. The other thing that you have to think about is that for students, for example, if they are choosing to live with an elderly individual, that oftentimes is a short-term commitment.
And it's a contract.
It is. It's a contract. And so for an elderly person that might be seeking a more long-term companion, that could be heartbreaking for them when they leave. So these are all of the things that you really do need to think about. It needs to be structured properly, but I think if it is done well, it can be extremely helpful for both parties involved.
Absolutely. And now time to listen from our viewers. We also asked them the same question. Would you be willing to live with an elderly person in exchange for reduced rent? So we ran a poll on the Arirang News YouTube channel. 63% said yes, I would, while 37% said no, I wouldn't. So we're going to take a look at some of the responses. Our first comment for this Friday is Dianze. As long as a person is nice and the house is clean, I'd be willing to. Bujaflava says, as an African, we are used to this life of taking care of older ones. This can't be an issue for us. Joxparpine 3217 says, it's a good idea, but no, my privacy is far too important for me. All right, thank you for giving all your opinions. Now, bringing our discussion back to Korea, I want to talk about what other policies or support systems that are in place to help manage the aging population.
Well, in Korea, this January, a government committee called, bear with me, PCASSP, which stands for Presidential Committee on the Aging Society and Population Policy.
It's a mouthful.
Yes, it's a mouthful.
You made it.
Yeah, I did. Announced some measures for this super-aged society in Korea, and they're aiming to dramatically increase the regional at-home senior care services and provide various services that will improve their living environments, such as renovating services. As we discussed earlier about the co-living program, the biggest problem that must be solved is who will take care of them. And in today's society, there are a number of limitations for the senior's family to take care of them 24/7. For example, compared to the past, both men and women are expected to work, and compared to the past, it is considered more dangerous and irresponsible to just leave your child outside in the playground until sunset. So therefore, the policies and programs that can alleviate this matter is crucial.
So Wonbin kind of mentioned what the government is doing, and I heard, Brooke, that there are some cutting-edge technology that's actually helping these seniors.
That's right. I definitely want to highlight the role of technology in supporting the elderly, particularly in South Korea, which, as we know, is a very advanced country when it comes to tech. So the private organizations and the government are working together to integrate these technologies into the lives of vulnerable individuals. For example, there are AI companion robots that remind the elderly to take their medicine, encourage regular exercise, and also foster social interaction in order to reduce loneliness. There are also startups like Hyodar AI, which is a doll that can provide that sense of companionship and also reduce isolation. And this is not only happening in Korea. Globally, there are many other examples of AI being used to combat this issue of super-aged societies. For example, in Japan, they have these humanoid robots that can help assist you with daily tasks. In the US, there is an AI mentorship program that matches older individuals with younger ones, similar to the program I spoke about in France. There are also AI algorithms and smart home appliances and systems worldwide that can detect emergencies and monitor the well-being of these individuals to make sure that they are safe in their own homes. So I really think technology is doing a great job of helping us to address this issue.
Right, and I think that this industry is only going to get bigger because, once again, we're seeing a shrinking and aging population. Right, and ending off, there's a reason why we brought up this topic today, because this isn't just a challenge for the older generation of today, it's something that affects all of us. With birth rates continuing to decline, seniors will make up an even larger share of the population in the future, and what that means is when our generation reaches that age, we could be living in an even older society than today. So given this reality, how can we both as individuals and as a society better prepare for the future, in other words, age well?
So personally, I think we also need to shoot a spotlight to the fundamental cause of this situation.
Definitely.
Well, definitely on top of the policies that mitigate the current problems, I think there must be policies for the future as well. In other words, we need to bring back the birth rate. Korea needs more babies. Government benefits that can incentivize married couples to have kids are basically non-existent. And some examples off the top of my head are governments can offer loans that can be offered a loan forgiveness once you have kids. Another example is having welfare points that can be used for basic necessities as diapers or powdered milk, with the exception of premium products. And although resolving the urgent problem is the most important problem at the moment, it is also necessary to tackle the fundamental cause in the shift of this society in order for us to thrive long term.
Definitely. What do you suggest, Brooke?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that although we're young right now, we are news gen, right? We're representing Gen Z and millennials. Everyone ages. And so we really need to start now and help our current generation and future generations so that our society can be even better in the future. So we need to look at the immediate needs and the long-term needs as well. I think we should take a look at housing and pension, caretaking for the elderly, and also try to eliminate ageist stereotypes so that we can foster a better intergenerational bond and solidarity, because like I said, we all age, we're all in this together, so let's try to make a more sustainable and inclusive society.
Fingers crossed. Hope we can build a society where life is enjoyable both for the younger generation and the older generation. And that wraps up this Friday's episode of News Generation, but we will be back next Monday at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks to Lee Won-bin.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And Brooke Prince.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for watching throughout the week, and hope to see you next Monday here at the same time. We are
News Generation.